What is up, everyone? Welcome to It's Been a Week. I'm your host, Ben McDonald, and this is your weekly dose of whatever the hell just happened. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to It's Been a Week. I hope everyone had a safe and fun 4th of July weekend. Have you guys ever been in one of those moods where like everyone's just fucking annoying? Like everyone is pissing you off. Like literally someone can be like, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, shut up. Like everyone this weekend, I don't know what it was. Everyone was bothering me. Do you guys ever have those weekends or those days? I was annoyed by people, places, things, I guess nouns. I was annoyed by nouns because it just, everything was driving me nuts. It started, and I've spoke about this before. I went to the gym. AJ and I have been doing this F45. And I love the workout. Okay. I love the instructors. I love the music, and the workout it's different every day. It's hard. You can challenge it. I love it. Okay. The issue is these fucking kids. I don't understand why people bring their kids to the gym and think that is appropriate. The kid that was there today, well, there's multiple kids. I counted 14. There's 14 kids, and there was 22 people in the class working out, and 14 kids. This one kid, he was parked up front. This kid had like a venti fucking pink drink from Starbucks, a full gaming laptop with like a webcam. He had his headphones on. He had a mouse and a mouse pad. Like this dude brought his whole gaming center. Like what the fuck? We're here to like sweat and work out, and this kid's over here playing fucking Halo. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do a push-up, and he's like literally has the headphones on with the microphone, and he had his Verizon like hotspot. So he's literally like playing online games with kids while we're trying to work out. Stay home. If you're old enough to know how to operate that shit and play those types of games, stay home while mommy goes and works out. Like this is ridiculous. I think it's fucking crazy. So that drove me nuts to start. And then I do photography and I do headshot photography. So I get a lot of emails. Okay. I'm so sick of stupid fucking emails. 98% of any question you may have for me is on my website. I list all my prices. I list how things go. I have FAQs. You can book your appointment. You can pay for your session. You can buy literally anything you have to ask me can pretty much be solved by going to benjaminmcdonald.com. But anyways, I get that that's part of owning a business, is you have to deal with people, but the stupidity, some of the emails I get, you guys, it's mind blowing. I got an email today, and this lady goes, hey, we're looking to do senior photos, which FYI, I don't normally do senior photos. I do headshot photography, but like every once in a while I'll do, shit like that. So I get this email and she goes, looking for senior photos. And I responded with, okay, like, cause you gave me, zero fucking information. So I was like, where do you live? How many looks are you wanting to do? When are you wanting to do it? Like they're like basic questions so we can get the ball rolling. Right. And she responds, cheer and casual. What am I supposed to do with that information? You didn't answer a single question that I asked you. Cheer and what the fuck does that mean? So I at this point, I just literally just responded with a question mark. That's it. Question mark. Boom. Send back. I have zero time for this bullshit. It's driving me crazy, actually. And 4th of July weekend, I hate the 4th of July. And now calm down before you think I'm all anti-America and freaking out, which breathe. And although I do think right now, Independence Day, there's not a whole lot of independence going on as we're, deporting and getting rid of, all the immigrants and everyone that made this country. But anyways, we won't talk about politics. I hate 4th of July because of the fireworks. And not because I'm a firework hater, but because I have animals. And when you have animals and fireworks, they don't go well together. It doesn't mesh. I also think, like, we've all seen fireworks. It's the same thing. Like, every time you go see fireworks, it's the same shit. Like, this thing goes up in the air, it goes boom, and there's colors. Like, it's nothing new. It's nothing magical. And also, can we stop putting it on our Instagram stories? No one cares. No one needs to see fireworks that they weren't even present for. Okay, that's a public service announcement to everyone. But I actually think the drone shows are way cooler. If you guys have ever seen those, like when the drones can do different things in the air and they can like, it's a full show and like that is way more entertaining. It doesn't make all the noise. It doesn't freak animals out. The thing that drives me nuts is I post this every year on Facebook, every 4th of July. I'm like, make sure you have your dogs locked up because so many dogs go missing. So many dogs run away. And then everyone's like, oh, I can't find my dog. Well, yeah, because you left it out. Like, don't be dumb. We have like one of our dogs, Louis, he freaks out with storms and fireworks. So like we give him Xanax. Like we have prescription drugs from the vet, sedate the shit out of him. He doesn't even know 4th of July is going on. It's great. We had neighbors one time and this, it actually like almost, it pretty much destroyed the friendship actually. They had horses as well. So these people are very, educated on horse etiquette and how horses work. I went to bed 4th of July. I get woken up at 1:00 in the morning from our dogs freaking out, losing it. I go outside. Our neighbors are lighting off fireworks directly above my barn. The fireworks, it looked like World War III was happening over my barn. The firework, my horses were losing their mind. They're freaking out. I had young horses. I have one horse, Moon, who he's like a walking anxiety attack. He was standing there just shaking in a dead sweat, shaking, freaking out because they have no idea what the hell's going on. When I tell you, like my head almost rolled away. I called them and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And they're like, "Yeah, whatever, come on over." I'm like, "Are you stupid?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we didn't really know we were going to be doing this." They had like 17 acres. And I'm like, "You have 17 acres, you can go light fireworks off." And you decided to light them off right over my barn. I had my baby horses. They were like freaking out, running in circles. Like they could have ran through the fence. It could have been so much worse. And so I just think, I mean, again, that relationship pretty much ended after that night. It was never, I was done because it was just so stupid. But I just think fireworks with animals, it's, if I'm not trying to be a 4th of July hater. If you're in a city, if you're at some party, okay, great. I get it. You want your fireworks. It's fun. But when you're out in the country and there's animals and things freak out, like, is it really worth it? Is it? So to me, no. Anyways, everything this weekend, like I said, I was just in one of those moods where everything was pissing me off. And to top it off, I made such a dumb mistake. So as you guys know, I've been looking forward to the Beyoncé concert for so long. I had the best tickets. I was so excited. Then I booked the commercial and I was in the Dominican Republic, couldn't go to the Beyoncé concert, had all these issues trying to sell them, whatever. I'm getting a pretty decent paycheck from this commercial. So I said, you know what? I'm going to treat AJ and we are going to see Beyonce, right? We're going to do it. So we're headed off to the Hamptons this week. And I was like, okay, so on the way home, we're going to make a pit stop and we're going to see Beyonce. So we're going to fly home Thursday, pit stop, see Beyonce, and then we'll go home the next day. I'm on StubHub, finding tickets, doing the thing. I've got like 75 browsers open because I'm, when you're trying to buy tickets, you're like looking on StubHub and on Ticketmaster and on this one and on that one, and you're comparing and doing all the things. I go to check out. I don't even know how I did it. I don't know, but I wasn't paying enough attention. Did the thing. I bought tickets for the wrong day. We wanted to go to Beyonce on Thursday. Look, it's not the end of the world. But I bought tickets for Friday, and I'm like, son of a bitch. Like this Beyonce saga has just been one thing after another. So I was like, reached out to StubHub and I'm like, look, I just bought these tickets 30 seconds ago, literally. And I go, they have the exact same tickets for the exact same price, everything exactly the same for the night before. I'm like, can I just swap them to that? Or can we refund it and cancel it? And I'll buy these ones, like anything. I went back and forth with these people. There was no way. They will not cancel. They will not refund. There's nothing they will do. I'm like, I bought the tickets 30 seconds ago. I literally just hit buy. And they were like, yep, nope, all sales are final. And I'm like, it's not that I'm even asking for my money back. I'm just trying to switch it to one day before. Same exact seat. Literally, same section, same seat, same price. They're like, no, can do. So I was like, you know what? I just have to let it go. I'm like, I've spent so much money on Beyonce tickets. I've spent so much hassle. I've spent so much of my time dealing with this shit. I was like, you know what? Do you guys know the burnt toast theory? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. It's that idea of, when you burn your toast in the morning and then you have to make new toast. So you're like, 3 minutes behind what you normally would be, but maybe you end up missing a car accident or something happens, or like, it's basically the whole, like, everything happens for a reason. And so there's this whole burnt toast thing. So I'm like, you know what? For some reason, I meant to go to Beyonce on Friday night. I'm not meant to go on Thursday night. I don't know why. We had to switch our flights. Maybe there's a reason with the flight. I don't know. I'm just going to go with it. I'm rolling with it. So we're off to the Hamptons, and then we are off to Beyonce. I hope this all works out. I can't talk about this concert anymore. It's annoying me. And I'm going to turn my mood around. I'm not going to be this intro sounds a little negative. I know it was a little like fuck everyone, but it's just sometimes you get in those moods, right? I mean, I can't be the only one where it's just like literally someone's walking down the street and they're like, "You look great today." And I'm like, "Fuck off." And I'm like, "Oh, maybe take it down a notch, Benjamin." But on a positive note, we have a really cool guest this week. He's a master SoulCycle instructor. I have been taking his class for years. He is a friend of mine and he's an awesome guy. So let's get into it. Okay, everyone. So our next guest is someone that has basically been my therapist, my fitness coach, my friend, and I have spent over 756 hours of my life in a dark room with him called SoulCycle. Please welcome master instructor David Zint.
Hey, what's up, Ben? Thank you for having me.
How's it going? How's your week been?
I would say my week has been pretty good, honestly. It's funny, when you started that and you said, 700 hours in a dark room, I was not quite sure where you were headed with that, but I'm glad. It's gone multiple directions, but I'm glad. I'm glad. So you're at 700?
Just of your classes. Because now
Because you started in what year? Like 2013, 14, something like that?
No, 2015, 2016.
Wow. And you were going over multiple times a day sometimes, right?
I mean, my life used to be revolved around SoulCycle. Like, I would plan vacations around when you guys were going on trips. Like, anything I had to do, if anyone tried to schedule anything with me, it was always like afternoons because my mornings were SoulCycle. It didn't matter. I mean, Monday at noon. So for everyone who doesn't know, SoulCycle is, which I think everyone knows what SoulCycle is, but it's an indoor spinning. I don't even want to say workout because it's so much more than a workout, but it's an indoor spinning experience. And it still is Monday at 12 o'clock every week is when the bikes go on sale. And it is like a madhouse trying to get
you book for that one. Yeah.
Yeah. You book all the bikes you want for that week, Monday at noon. And at Monday at noon, I remember sitting on my phone. I had like 12 reminders on my phone. Alarms would go off on my phone. And it's like Monday at noon, you're like hitting your finger as fast as you can.
Right.
It's sad now because now in Texas, I do have to say I kind of cheat on SoulCycle. And I go to a different studio here.
Right.
But it's the same concept. Like they pretty much stole the exact idea.
Are you still booking at noon? Is that the same?
No, so theirs go on sale a week before like Monday's classes go on sale at Monday. Tuesdays go at Tuesday. So it's not.
I thought you first. So it's the day before.
Yeah. So like Monday for the following Monday, Tuesday for the following
and
Tuesday.
For the following. So 7 days in advance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's similar, but it's not like Monday at noon for the whole week.
Yeah.
But no, my life when I was in LA full time, I mean, it was like, it was such a cult following. I mean, in the best way possible, but it was such a community and a family. I just remember I spent hours sitting in that lobby in that, what is that? The courtyard.
I mean, that was to me, like, I think that's one of the most, special things about it, right? That's what we remember the most, right? I mean, myself included, like those moments of like who you meet and who you talk to before, like where are you sitting and what song are we gonna hear today, and then like sharing that experience with 50 other people, and then like being with them before in the lobby and then afterwards, and then being like, you're coming tomorrow, right? What class are you taking, what time are you coming? And there's such a sense of like, I mean, like a sense of accountability and a sense of like, this time is really sacred to me. And like that sort of, I think, respect for knowing that you're worthy of like showing up for something created a real value in like the time that we spend there. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I think it's like, it's such an escape for so many people.
Right. Yeah.
And, you go in there, there's no cell phones allowed. It's a dark room. Everyone's doing the same. I always loved SoulCycle's kind of, philosophy. Like you're not here to do that. If you want to do your own thing, it was kind of like go somewhere else. Like this is you're a team, you're a group.
Yeah. And I always felt like there was that sort of that collective experience when everybody's connected by the beat and they're connected by the music and they're on the same pedal stroke and they're doing the same type of choreography. And then it makes you want to dig deeper and it makes you want to be a part of it, right? You want to work harder and you want to be more present and you want to celebrate the people around you. I just think that's really, really special, you know?
There's nothing more satisfying as a rider, looking up into the mirror and seeing
Right?
the whole room like
Just
on the same foot.
in unison, in
Yeah,
sync, right?
and I'm
Yeah.
sure as an instructor, when you look out and you see everyone's listening to your cues, it's got to be rewarding.
Oh man, there's times where you look around and you're just like, this is phenomenal. Like, this is incredible that everybody's so hungry for it and they're connected to one another and they're giving their best. It makes you want to show up and give everything that I have, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I think, like, for me, like, obviously, like, the workout part of it, yeah, that was like a
Mhm.
bonus. But that was like the last reason I was going there was to burn calories.
Oh, absolutely. Right. Wouldn't you say that the best moments that you had in there were something that you discovered right about yourself, right? Or something that you discovered about your own humanity or your heart, or something that you had in common with somebody else, or the message that was dropped in the class. Or very rarely do I think you're going to look back at a class and be like, oh, that was the class that I burnt 900 calories in. Like, I really don't think any writer that, at least that I've talked to, who have taken my class, is like, that was the class that I remember the most because I burnt the most calories, you know? Like, you're going to burn those calories regardless. But what's memorable are the moments, you know, the breakthroughs, the discoveries, right?
I mean, yeah, there's so many times where I was like, I used to wear the Apple Watch and it would track, and then I quit wearing it because I was like, this is
Right.
stupid. Like, I don't even care. What am I going to do? Go look, like you said, go look at 6 months ago, I burned this many calories. That room got me through breakups, through
Yeah.
my dad passing away, through,
Yeah.
friendships having issues, through, struggling, trying to make it as an actor. Like, there's so many things. That's why I said in the beginning, it's like you were a therapist.
Yeah. And I think for your people, what do you, listeners or
Yeah.
viewers? I guess both.
Yeah.
They're doing
Well,
both.
they're both. Yeah.
If they, for those who don't know that, you know, it may sound a little like, wait, do you cry on the bike? But like, I know that sounds like a little heavy handed and perhaps even a little cheesy, but like, you have to understand that the room's super, super dark and there's so much sweat in everybody's face. Very rarely do people know whether or not you're doing that. So I think that creates a permission for you to feel. And I think for a lot of people, we walk around in our daily lives and we're like this and we clench so tightly that there's a physical release when you're out of breath and your heart's pounding through your chest and you're trying to keep up. And then there's a pause in the music, and then we slow it down and we turn it up, and the music it's momentous and it's emotional and it moves us. We allow ourselves to be moved too. Like, those emotions that we have bottled up, the motion of the body lets us feel them, and it's really powerful.
And I think, I mean, there's all different types of riders. You have people like me
Sure.
who love to be seen and are bopping around on the bike and dancing. And then, yeah, you have people that are just in their own zone doing their thing. And like, you think everyone's looking at you, but the reality is no one's looking
They're
at you.
not.
Everyone
Yeah.
is like, first of all, trying to keep, because for people who don't know, at SoulCycle, it's nothing like a Peloton. It's nothing like going outside for a bike ride. Like, we ride to the beat of the music. So
Right.
whatever song is on, whether it's a fast song, a slow song, and you're adding resistance, but you're riding to that beat. So you're trying to ride to the beat. You're trying to keep up. Plus, David's giving us all sorts of cues of choreography, whether it's push-ups, side to side, tapping back, all sorts of things. So it's,
Mhm.
your brain is working in overdrive. And then it's like, yeah, you get to almost like a breaking point, and then
Right.
there's all your emotions. Because I've definitely cried in that room multiple times.
Yeah, you're not alone. I have too.
Yeah.
Many people have, you know, many people. And I think there's a sense of like, you know, everybody comes in there and we're all connected and we're all sort of linked together, you know, like we're all there. You would think for a workout, but everybody's there for something a little bit different. And like you said, they're there for something that's unique to their experience. But yet, through that unique experience, there's a very collective and a community, you know, thing that happens that's really, really special, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I used to try to explain it to people because it's like, if you get it, you get it. Like, if you're a SoulCycle person, you get it. But people who don't do it, they're like, you do what? You're spending all this money, you're spending all this time, and I'm like, but literally, I would get up at 7 a.m. and it's like, you're going to a nightclub, you're going to church, you're going to
Yeah.
therapy, you're going to a dance club, you're
All wrapped
doing
in
all, and you're getting a workout all wrapped into
one
one.
club. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't even know how to explain it. I think everyone. I mean,
I think it's
obviously
an
I'm.
experience that once people, because I've had a very similar, you know, experience having to explain it to people, and then just like come try it, like just try it, you know, like,
Yeah.
and usually it's people who are the most cynical about it that end up liking it the most, which is really
Mhm.
cool, you
Yeah.
know.
I had done a spin class once when I was like in college, and I hated it. It was like at a It wasn't
Okay.
like a SoulCycle. It was just like a regular spin thing. And I'm like, the seat hurt my ass. This isn't fun. I hated the whole thing. And I was like, whatever. So I remember when I first went to SoulCycle, my friend Yale, he's like, you should come with me. And I was like, okay. And I sat in the back row, had no clue what
Right.
was going on. And I remember I left there, I didn't know how to ride to the beat. I didn't even know what was going on. I'm just I was like a baby giraffe trying to get my bearings. But I remember leaving there and I was like, I told him, I said, if you want to go again next week, let me know. And he's like, yeah, I'll let you know. And I remember it was like, I think 2 days later, I ended up just going on my own. I was like, I'm not waiting until
Right.
next week. Like I went to one class and I got
Got
the
it.
bug.
And you were hooked.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say baby giraffe because you should show all your listeners and viewers the video of you being like a speed demon gazelle on the bike because he's nothing like a baby giraffe on the bike, everyone.
The level up challenge.
He's quite fast and he's quite skilled on the bike, everyone.
I love the speed. I love speed.
Yeah.
And
Especially for the song sport.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the place here that I go to spin, I'm like, we should do level up. And they all look at me. They're like, we're not allowed to go that fast. I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you, but that's what I want to do.
You're like, that's what I really want to do.
Yeah. I just want to fly. So for you, how did you even get started as a spin teacher? How did this whole journey? Because I think in my opinion, plus I would say in most people's opinion, you're like the most popular instructor. Like, that obviously doesn't happen overnight.
Well,
So
I never wanted, when I first started, I was a writer, not just a writer, I was a writer. And I, much like you, like had spun at a gym and had, taken just a handful of SoulCycle classes. And I was actually in the front row. I was writing at SoulCycle the opening weekend when they opened in Los Angeles in 2012. And at the time, Julie and Elizabeth, who were the founders of SoulCycle, they watched my wife and I Megan ride in the front, and they were like, "Where do you all teach?" Like, we're like, "We don't teach. We're writers." And they're like, "No, no, no, no. You're gonna come teach. You're gonna come teach for me." And this was when we were engaged, but we hadn't gotten married yet. And I remember telling her the story of like, I can't come to New York. Like we're getting married here shortly. And she's like, it's fine. I'll fly your wife to New York. You can train for just a couple of weeks and then you'll come back. Which at the time, the training program was like 3, 4, 5. It depended on you, like 6 months it could take. So I sort of got thrown into it. Like I went to New York, was completely just blown away by the level of, you had mentioned cult earlier, in our discussion here, the level of like the wait list in I'm talking every single class, man, 7 a.m. through like 2 p.m. on a Wednesday, 50 people trying to get into a sold out class. Like every single class had a wait list. And I was just like, there was nothing like that in Los Angeles yet, nothing like that sort of hype, and that it started there. And like to be a part of that and to be like, wow, I'm so blessed and lucky that I have this opportunity. I'm not going to throw this. So I took as many classes from as many instructors I could there. I came back here. I did the same thing with all the instructors who were already teaching here. I learned so much from them. And then I sort of just got thrown into it. I got thrown to the wolves, and it's like, okay, all right, here you go. Let's see how you do.
Wow.
So
I did not know that. That's crazy. So you were pretty much like scouted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I didn't audition,
That's so crazy because so many people, want to be instructors. They go through the training, they do all the stuff. And it's like, it kind of fell in your lap in a good way.
In a great way, and I also think there's a bit of like, especially at the time, that there's a lot of fun and excitement and like acclaim with being a SoulCycle instructor, but like it's so much work. Like there's a lot of like work that goes into it. It's incredibly fulfilling work, but like there's a lot that you are responsible for cultivating in that room, if you want to give a true SoulCycle experience. So
like how do you balance, kind of always having to be on?
I think that, there's this saying that I like, that like there's really no such thing as balance, that you have harmony in life, that the moments where you refuel for yourself, you really honor them, or my workouts that I do for me, or my alone time, or the book that I read, or when I go to fill up my cup, I really honor that. And I take off my phone and like, I'm not available to other people. That then those moments when I know that I'm teaching, I put on the mic and I step into the room, that's my moment to give everything that I have, And there's so much, like you get so much back. Like there's a reciprocal relationship. Like it's not like the instructor just gives and you get nothing. You get so much back. So much.
But it's still like I said, I took 700 something of your classes. I can't remember one time where I was like, oh, David was definitely off today, or he's having a bad day. Like that never happened. So
Yeah.
even if, and I'm sure there were days that you walked in
Sure.
and didn't fucking want to teach, or you had something going on, or there was life
Yeah.
going on, but you kind of, you, you, you have to snap out of it because all these people have showed up and they're expecting what, for you to inspire them and,
Yeah.
have
I
good
think,
music and do all this stuff. Like that's gotta
yeah.
sometimes be like,
I mean, for me, I think two things that really help are one is you sort of have to put yourself aside and be like, well, it's not about me. It's about me being of service to these other writers in the room. Like, what can I give to them? And in doing so, you actually feel better about yourself too. So in a lot of ways, that sort of feeling. And I think number two is just sort of allowing yourself to be vulnerable and to use those moments of, okay, if this is what I'm going through in my life, pretty fucking sure that there's other people in this room that are going through it too. So why don't you talk about that? Do you know what I mean? Why don't you not hide your struggles? Why don't you not hide your vulnerabilities? And why don't you talk about your fears and your doubts and turn that into the message of the class? And usually those are the most powerful classes. So in a lot of ways, you had mentioned it's like your therapy, but like, I think a lot of times, people will come up to me and be like, oh, you said something that I needed to hear. And I usually just say things that I need to hear, because
right.
I figure if I need to hear it, hopefully other people do too.
And I'm sure there, like you said, everyone can find a way to relate to it. Cause I mean, there's
Sure.
things you say where I remember being like, is he fucking reading my messages? Like, how does he know exactly what I'm going through? It's so crazy when there's certain things that you'll just like spit out. And I'm like, what, how did he know that that's what I needed to hear? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's that. And I think that's sort of like the essence of that group mindset, like we sort of tap into one another,
Mhm.
it's
And
really
again,
not.
that's part of what I love about SoulCycle. It is like, it's a group effort. We're all here together. It's like, I think it even says it on the wall, like one team,
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
community, one, I don't remember what the words, but there's the words on the side of the wall where it's basically
A
like,
wall. Yeah.
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 And you always, there's certain phrases because I was in LA a couple weeks ago, took your classes,
Mhm.
and there's moments when I was in there, I was like, oh, I remember this. I remember,
Yeah.
there's certain David Davidisms that you still
Sure.
use. Like how do you continue to stay motivational? How do you continue to motivate everyone else and keep yourself motivated throughout all
I
these
mean,
years?
honestly, it's about two things, life experiences, which are never going to go away. As long as you're living life, you're experiencing life, right? And there's
Hmm.
lessons to be learned from that. And just allowing yourself to sort of be a sponge and to really absorb, books and other, TED Talks and other podcasts and people that inspire me and, mentors that I have had, people that inspire me, people that I learn from and that I look up to.
Yeah. Because it's there's a really fine, I've taken a lot of teachers here in Texas, and I've taken all around the world, and there's a fine line when someone can start saying inspirational stuff and it's like
Right.
it sounds manufactured, it sounds kind of cheesy, it doesn't sound genuine, it's
Sure.
like you clearly read a few Instagram memes before you came in, you know what I mean? Like there's times where it doesn't feel real, but I never
Yeah.
felt that in your class. Like it always was just like, whoa, where did this come
Yeah,
from?
if you don't connect to it, you shouldn't really say it.
Right. And I think a
You know?
lot of people, and I shouldn't speak for everyone, but there are instructors that will just go probably read some quotes or read some,
Sure.
inspirational stuff, and they just try to spit it out. And I'm like, that doesn't even sound like it's something you would say.
Yeah, like it's got to be true to you. Like you don't want to speak like someone you're not. I think
Right.
that's true, not just as a soul cycle instructor. I think that's true in
In
all
life.
areas. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, we hear people like that all the time that it's not authentic.
Right. Some of your big stuff you always say is your yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's like your, like what, tell me what the meaning that is behind yes, yes.
I've had this phrase called yes, yes that sort of the genesis goes back quite a while where, if you think about when you're saying yes to something, let's just lay that down as the foundation. Number one, we say yes to so many things, that I think we sort of take for granted or we get really, really casual with the term yes. Like, are you hungry? Yes. Or do you want this? Yes. A goal that it starts to spread out that things that you actually are saying yes to, you don't want to be saying yes to. So if you add a second one, there's a conviction behind it. There's a certainty behind it, right? There's something that puts that exclamation point behind that second yes, you know? And it's a great sort of group rallying cry in a lot of ways. Like it's quick. There's like the second one goes up higher. There's a level that rises up to it, you know? It's almost like a unity that we're coming together to say yes, yes, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like the double clap. Like it's like a yes, yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because trust me, it works in SoulCycle in the group setting. Like with my daughter, like it is not going to work when I tell her to do homework. Did you finish your homework? There's not going to be a yes, yes. Just
There's no
so you
yes, yes.
know. There might be a slamming of the door. No.
Might be a yes, maybe, or yes,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. I mean, she's almost 12. There might be some other language in there.
So what are some of your other like what are some of your main things that you love to like really instill in people that, because I do feel like when you keep coming back, the more, you know, it's like the more times you hear it, the more times you start to believe it. Like sometimes when you hear something once, you forget it, but then like when you hear things over and over, it really starts to, you know, sit in your brain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me personally, there's a few that I think resonate with me because I really relate to them. And that's the essence of, you know, we're who we are today because of our past or because of what we've been through, not in spite of it, that there's such a tendency to sort of define ourselves by our worst moments, I think. And we're not defined by our worst moments. We're actually defined by our best moments. And if we can sort of shift that internal narrative in our minds of being like, all right, I'm going to stand on top of my failures. I'm going to stand on top of my mistakes. I'm not going to stand in them. There's a sense of honor in honoring the mistakes to do better rather than sinking into them. Like just that essence of like, if you stand on top of something versus standing in it, you know, one is sort of like quicksand where you sink into it. And the other one is sort of like a sense of a platform or a podium where you're proud of it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that really resonates with me because I think there's such an urge, I think, which I get that you would like to go back and sort of rewrite our past. Like we can't rewrite it, you know, we can't change it, but we can certainly, you know, change our relationship to it. We can change how it affects our present, you know, and change how we move into our future.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's something like that's when you instill that in people and they're hearing that over and over, because so much of
Yeah.
us, we always just like, you know, we replay things in our head, or I should have done this and I should have done that. And it's like, sometimes you just got to like roll with it, face what you did, or, you know, own up to it, or at least learn from it, and then just move forward.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the phrases or a lot of, you know, what resonates with me, it's really all about like a mindset shift, you know, and a perspective shift, like the difference between seeing, you know, struggles or adversity or a storm or anything, which everybody has them, right? Everybody has them that, you know, you could see them as something that's drowning you, or you could see it as something that's like, well, wait a minute, man, I think this is actually maybe teaching me to swim a little bit better, right? Like if you can use our adversity, if we can use sort of the things that weigh us down as a reason to be stronger, then I think, at least I hope, you know, we will use those events in our life to make us more resilient, right? To make us stronger.
Yeah.
Rather than just paralyze us and keep us stuck, you know, because what's the other option? To be weighed down by them, to complain about them, to say, oh, poor me, I'm helpless. And it doesn't mean that you don't ask for help. Of course we all do, but there's a sense of agency behind, all right, my life is actually working in my favor, not against me, even in the moments when it feels like it's not.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of people, and we all have moments when people get stuck playing the victim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
That's
it
a
gets
mentality too, right? Like victim mentality, or I say victor mentality, right? For me or blessed me, right?
Right.
Why is this happening to me, or what do I have to learn from this?
Well,
Complainer or conqueror, right?
just changing your mindset and the way you look at things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think all that stuff, like when I was in your class last week, like there were so many moments where it was like you're saying different things, but I was like some of the same messaging from, you know, 6 years ago. I was like, oh yeah. And it was like coming back. And I was like, I love that. But then there's also like, you know, same thing with like the choreography. Some of the stuff I was like, oh yeah, here we go. I was like, I knew what was coming. And then there was new stuff where I was like, oh, this is new, you know, because
I came for this one. Wait,
yeah.
You want me to do what?
Because I mean, when I left LA, I was like remember I was riding your podium. Remember it was like COVID times,
right? Out with masks and like
masks,
outside
headphones, like the whole thing.
Yeah.
That was COVID was a wild time.
Wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And we were like 8 feet apart, remember? The bikes were not close together at all.
Oh, right. Because in a SoulCycle room, like the bikes are so close.
Yeah,
like,
it's so close.
You do push up or wide elbows and you're like hitting the person next to you.
Completely, yeah.
But yeah, we were so spread out.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
think SoulCycle has bounced back from COVID, or do you think it's
I
do you think
think
it's changed?
I think just in general, sort of group fitness, or even like, I don't know, if you, there's so many things that I feel like have sort of from the pandemic that shifted, that are just different still, like
Hmm.
there's so many people who still, like Fridays, they still work from home, or, like there's just so much that really, I think, changed during it, that it's hard to say. There was certainly like a bounce back, absolutely. But like, I don't know that that time when it was like Monday at noon and like it was insanity, like in every city across the country where classes were just like booming. Like, I don't know if that sort of time has passed,
Yeah, because like when I was there last week, I walked in and it still felt, I was like, oh my God, I'm home. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
It has the same energy and it had the same stuff. But then there were aspects of it that I'm like, oh, it feels a little different too. Like some of the people have changed. And then I
Yeah.
used to be able to come to any class any day of the week and I would know half the room,
The room, right?
like
Yeah.
easily. And then, but this time I went in, I'm like, I don't even know some of these people. But then I saw familiar faces, of course. And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like, and you start
It's like
catching
a
up. Like,
mix, right? It's a combination. And then I also think that a lot of people moved away and then they
yes.
didn't move back,
Yes. A lot of people left like LA and
right?
California.
In New York, a lot of people have, and then they just sort of, and then new people have come.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people during the pandemic found like fitness at home or they found like going on hikes. And then some people like stuck with that. And it's like they haven't come back to the group fitness thing.
Yeah. And I think for me too, like it's just such a good lesson as a coach, that to remind myself like, well, it's not going to be what it was, but it is what it is. And what it is still really beautiful. And what it is still really special. So
Hmm.
I think just in general for life, that's a really good philosophy to live by.
When I was at your class a couple weeks ago, it literally felt, I mean, first of all, it was so fucking hard. I was like, first song out of the gate, I'm like, holy shit.
Like, oh,
And it still
yeah.
has the same, because for people who haven't been to David's class, David also doesn't ride the bike,
Hmm.
which I think is a big thing. Cause like, when did you start not riding the bike?
Mine happened when I actually got an injury. So I got an injury. I was in a boot for my foot. I've been in a boot twice now, by the way. So I was in the boot the first time. I want to say it was like 2014. I don't know. You were probably 10 at the time. So, and I had gone to Julie and Elizabeth, and they're like, oh, no, 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 you can be in that. Just teach on the floor. And then I taught on the floor, and the response was really, 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 really quite good. And I don't know that, at least at the time, not everyone would get that same response. There was maybe one or two other people in the country, or three or four, that like would teach on the floor that were really received really well. And I just felt that I was able to speak and connect and sort of be in the trenches and go up to each bike and to sort of navigate the room in a greater capacity, that it's not easier emotionally or mentally or spiritually or physically. Like, it still takes so much out of you, if not maybe even more, to do it on the floor. But I really connected to that. And then it sort of just took off from there. And they're like, well, you don't have to, like, you're clearly like in your zone on the floor, like let's keep you there. So
I mean, I think it would be harder. I mean, I would think to be spinning that fast because when you're talking, like you say a lot. You're
yeah,
spitting a lot of stuff out there, and I think it's more like you said, it's more powerful when you're walking, up and down the room versus if
yeah,
I'm on over here in the corner and you're on the podium. We're never even going to connect. You know, it's going to be a lot
exactly.
harder because that room is long. It's like a rectangle.
Yeah.
I'm all the way over here, but you're
Yeah.
like kind of connecting with every single person walking back and forth, and
Because
you're
like
focused.
connection is such an important thing in my room. Like, I want to connect to the people that, it's just different. Like, if I were to ride, like there would be like so much less talking, that it would be a different sort of connection, but like I really like that sort of connection. So
And you're focused more on what you're saying and who you're saying it to versus like being on the right foot and,
yeah,
making
or
sure you're
like,
doing all the things.
or look at me on the bike, like it's not about me,
Right.
it's about everyone else.
Just, why I love riding on the podium because it's all
You're like,
about, I'm like, look at me go.
we should get a fan for you,
Like
like
a
your hair.
Beyonce fan.
Oh, she's incredible.
I mean, obsessed.
I mean,
Love her.
you've been in classes with her.
I've
That's
been in
what we do.
class with her. I actually, Jay-Z used to call me the white dancing boy.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because I would always be right in front of him and I think I'm bopping around. He's probably like, what is this fucker doing? But
There you go.
Yeah. Um, okay, so if you could say, like, what do you think SoulCycle has taught you about yourself?
Ooh, that's a good question that I've never been asked. I would say it has taught me that two things. Number one, that your authenticity is your power. And number two, don't take any ride for granted, or for me, any class for granted. You know, that there's something, because even the times we had mentioned in COVID, that I think particularly when we were first starting to teach outside and there was, like we're 10 feet apart, you can't go near anybody, right? You can't touch them, you can't hug them. So we were taken away of all these things that we're so used to in SoulCycle. No sweaty pictures, you're in a mask, that there's still the ability and the capacity to connect with someone despite all of those limitations and those obstacles and those rules that we were given at the start of the pandemic. That it really shined a light on, like, wow, we actually don't need the room, to make room for things in life. Like, what we need is one another. Like, I thought the magic was the room. And then when we were forced outside, I was like, no, the magic's in the people who are in the room. Like, that's a big number two that it taught me.
Yeah, it really is the community.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many people in my life. Some of my best friends are because I met them at SoulCycle.
Didn't you meet AJ or no?
I met Paige and Marissa, who
Right.
introduced me to AJ. And
So
I've
then that's connect. Then you would have never. Okay.
yeah, and I mean, I've Paige is my best friend, and I've traveled the
Yeah.
world with her, and everyone's always like, "How did you guys meet?" And I'm like, "SoulCycle." And people are like, "What?" I'm like, "Literally, SoulCycle." And I
Yeah.
know it's like it's so cliche, and they would say this, but it's like we're riding these stationary bikes. That I used to use. Someone used to say this quote: "You ride the stationary bikes that go nowhere, but yet you go so far."
Yeah.
Did
Or
you
you
say
go
that?
stationary bikes that go nowhere but take you everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just always was like, I love that. And what you just said about appreciating every single ride,
Yeah.
I think I do that for a multitude of reasons, but even like just the physical reasons. Cause I have a friend right now who she just got in a horrible accident, paralyzed
Oh
for the rest
man.
of her life. And this morning when I was riding the bike and I was like dying, I was like, wow, like I'm lucky that I get to go do this.
Yeah.
Because
So
like
lucky.
there could be a time when it's like, boom, you can't do what, because it's, obviously physically takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I remember, like, there were moments, and I'm sure you remember too, when, so during COVID, there was a studio that popped up on the rooftop of downtown Los Angeles, and you would come ride and you would ride on the podium, but like I couldn't touch, like, we couldn't hug. I couldn't, like, you couldn't come
yeah.
near me. And it was such a strange experience to have, but yet here you are, like in the middle of downtown, and like up on that podium, and like those were like some of my most favorite rides, to be honest with you. Like, I still look back on those moments and I'm like, it was just really special to still know that we had a sense of community, even though, like, we were all forced to be inside the rest of the day. That was the only moment we could go out.
Yeah, and we didn't have a dark room. We were out, it was
Oh,
daylight out, masks
yeah.
on, headphones because it had to be like a silent disco basically because we were in the
Yeah.
middle of like, apartment
A roof-
buildings.
yeah, apartment buildings. Yeah.
Yeah, that was
It was a
wild,
trip.
wild time. And I do
That was
remember there was times it was so fucking hard to breathe because I'd be sweating and then this mask would start like it was like I was getting waterboarded. Like the mask would like it was awful,
yeah.
but amazing. But the breathing aspect was awful.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, so as an instructor, obviously, like, your motivation and what you say is really important, but something that can make or break any class, in my opinion, is the music.
Sure.
And music is a huge, huge part of this. Because, I mean, you can have the best teacher, but if they have shitty music, it's awful. You can also have a mediocre teacher with amazing music, and it's like, okay, I can do this.
I can work with
So,
this.
how do you make your playlist and find the music and keep it interesting and like, can you do it now like in your sleep because you've made so many playlists or
I mean, honestly, it depends. Like, there's always, like, on Sundays, to start the week, I always go hunting. Say, like, I look for music. My daughter, who she like, she's not on TikTok, so I don't get the impression that she's on there. But there's TikTok dances, and like it just gets out into the culture, with her friends, like songs that tend to sort of be viral and trending. So she'll know them, and then she'll search them up, and I'll play, and I'll be like, this is actually really good, honey. I'm like, okay. So I've gotten quite a few songs from her. And then there's DJs that I follow, and, artists that I really like. And I think just to sort of keep it fresh, and I mean, my genre is like good remixes and hip hop and some pop. That's and I like to sort of like lead with that and sort of let the music tell a story within the class.
Mm-hmm. And do you like, do you actually listen to like the BPMs and figure all that out, or can you just hear a song like, yeah, this would be a great
I
arm
mean,
song?
if I started, yeah, I mean, occasionally there'll be one where I'll be like, hold on, I better tap this out. Is this as fast as I think it is, or is this a slow, but at this point, I hear it. I can
You can
tell.
hear it and be like, this is a wait song, this is a going home
Yeah.
song, this is a intro song. Okay.
Yeah. Although at this point, though, you want to keep it fresh. So I'll be like, well, this is normally a drop, but why don't we do arms to it now? It's a little slower,
Right,
So,
switch it up.
yeah.
So then, like, how do you come up with, because the other day, like I said, you had brand new moves where I'm like, whoa, what are we doing? How do you keep that interesting and come up with new moves and because there's only so much we can do on a bike.
There's only so much. I think, there's different, if you think from a standpoint of like what's functional with the body, and what you want to actually work out rather than not leaning in towards, oh, I just want to do a move because it's acrobatic or because it looks cool to the music, or I saw it on like, somebody in Hong Kong did it on a bike, and it trended
Right.
on TikTok. Like, I don't know, like there has to be like a sense of like purpose and it has to serve like some function in the body. And you're not like harming your spine or do you know what I mean? Or like clapping behind your back as you're sprinting, like nothing that like I would deem as unsafe, like it couldn't look cool and that's great. But like, I'd like for it to serve, a functional purpose, and then just getting creative from there,
Because I've seen some instructors like in New York that it's like they're doing stuff that's so crazy and ridiculous. I'm like, this isn't actually working out. This is just like hard to do, and like you're actually probably gonna get hurt doing it.
Yeah. So I think it's a two reminding yourself sometimes that like can like kind of pull it back and take it back to basics, that like holding that space in the song's enough sometimes, and you're enough,
Right.
you don't have to always add the bells and whistles, or I like to find a balance. Like, like if I have one song where we're constantly doing choreography, then I'd like to maybe have the next song where you just climb and you don't do anything.
Right. Or simple tap back, or it's not crazy. Yeah. Yeah. So as an instructor, what is your biggest pet peeve?
Oh, just in general?
Like just in general of riders, like what, or in general being an instructor, I guess.
Oh, I would say bringing your phone into class, but like not bringing it in that you're going to take a picture, like actually as it lights up in the dark room, like that's our time to like get that thing out of there, like get the fucking phone out of there. Like when somebody whips it, like it's a spotlight.
It drives me crazy. There was the other day, I was riding podium and this girl was on her phone during the wait song, like texting. And I was giving her like, if looks could kill, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, and then after class, I was up. I go, the phone is really distracting. And she was like, oh. I'm like, oh yeah, I have no shame. And I'm like, I don't even work here. So like,
Yeah, you're right.
but I was like, I hate that. For me, drives me nuts. And then as a rider, look, I get everyone can't be on the beat, and some people are trying, but at least try.
Sure.
My issue is when like if we're up doing something and someone just decides, oh, I'm just gonna sit, and then they're like doing their own thing. Like I get it's challenging. You might not be able to stay up the whole time or do it, but
or sit in the back.
Sit in the back, or like just I don't know, put in an effort. You can tell when someone's trying and they can't do it, or when they're just like, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Yeah.
And that drives me nuts.
Well, I mean, I think effort, like, it's funny that you say that because I think I talked about this the other day in class that, like, to me, like, one of the most attractive things about anybody in any relationship that you have, it could be in a group fitness class, it could be at SoulCycle, it could be between a friend, is effort, right? Like, people who put in the effort to listen, people who put in the effort to try, people who put in the effort to participate, people who put in the effort to be kind, who put in the effort to connect to the rider next to them. Like, effort to me is that it's so attractive, right? Like, effort, put in the effort. It's not about who cares if you nail the choreography. It's not about being on the rider like just you can sense it like when somebody's not putting in the effort. And that's not talking about somebody who has an injury. That's completely different. Completely different.
100%. Yeah, I don't want anyone hurting themselves. I don't want, but I do think that is something that's kind of changed from like pre-COVID. It felt a little bit more cutthroat. Like, oh, you really got to be on. Whereas now, when I came a few weeks ago, I was like, okay, it's a little more relaxed. Like it's, which again is not. I'm not saying it's better one way or another, but there is, when the person next to me is like huffing and puffing and they can't do it, I'm like, I want to be like, you got this. But then when someone's sitting in the back and they're talking to their neighbor or they're on their phone, and it's just like, I just think that's really disrespectful to you and to the room.
Yeah, mostly to themselves, honestly.
Yeah. If you want to do that, like do a Peloton or go to Planet fitness or whatever
Yeah,
the
you're saying
place is.
that you're not worthy of that time. Forget about
Yeah,
everybody else. The person who's on their phone is saying they're not deserving of their own time. Like that's disrespectful to yourself.
yeah. So that will be those are my biggest pet peeves, which I think we
Yeah.
can agree on them. Um, okay, so if someone is, I just want you to have a little bit of inspiration here. If someone's feeling really stuck, whether it's in their fitness or just in life, like what advice can you give to someone that is like just feeling stuck?
You know what? I have this phrase that is like start by starting, right? That you don't have to feel ready to be ready, just put one foot in front of the other. And I think any sort of movement, particularly first thing in the morning, is so necessary to sort of get those mental cobwebs out of our brain and to get the blood flowing. It doesn't have to be high intensity. It doesn't have to be something as, like a SoulCycle class, but like go on a hike or go on a walk and allow yourself that time to sort of wipe it clean and unplug a little bit, and you'd be surprised how a little bit of like momentum in your life, like just literally putting one foot in front of the other, allows you to maintain some sense of momentum in your life.
Mm-hmm. It's just like,
And I think that phrase being stuck is, I mean, you're only stuck if you quit. So if you never quit, you're never really stuck, right?
that's true.
You know?
Someone told me the other day, I'm going to butcher the quote, but it was basically along the lines of like, if you're not changing it, you're accepting it.
Yeah. Or
And
we
I was
can't
like,
complain about what we allow is a good one too, that I
yeah.
sort of
So it's
like.
like we can sit and complain about our life or our circumstances or our situation, but if you don't do something to actively change it, then you're accepting it.
Well, it's what you said, like actively, like the word action, like that word, like, I don't know, you hear it a lot of time in yoga and soul cycle and different people, like, what's your intention? Like, it's kind of become like a buzzword, like
Yeah.
a motivational word that kind of has lost meaning because people just throw it around. And it's like, well, if you think of your intent, right? Like, if you think of saying, well, I had the intention to change, or I had the intention to be stronger. I had the intention to be a nicer person. I had the intention to communicate with my husband or my wife or my partner. But like, okay, well, an intent's not going to change your life, right? That just reveals your desire. Everybody has a desire, everybody has an intention. Until you apply discipline and action, you're not going to get the results from the intention, right? So you could write down, all day long on post-it notes, like what your goals are. That's great. They're great. And they help us see them. And it's necessary to like look at them. But if you're just going to look at them and you're not going to act on them, then it just becomes an intention. There's nothing that keeps the fire going.
That's good. That's really good. Yeah. You have
Yeah.
to, you can say things. And honestly, I think that's big in LA, especially because I remember everyone has all these dreams and wants to do all these things, but it's like everyone loves to talk the talk, but do something, do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least in
Especially.
my field with the actors, everyone wants to be an actor, everyone wants to be famous. It's like, okay, but
Yeah.
what are you doing to make that happen?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. All right. So to wrap things up, I have one last question. If you never could teach another SoulCycle class ever
Mm.
again, what legacy would you hope your riders remember you by?
That what I did was more important than myself, that I was able to use the room in the classes as an opportunity for people to discover something about themselves and a purpose in themselves and a change in themselves, or ignite a sense of creativity or inspiration that they were able to carry out of that room, so that it was not just a soul cycle class for them, that it was something that I helped facilitate.
I would say you've done that pretty successfully.
Thank you.
So if you want to catch one of David's classes, you need to get your ass to LA. He teaches at West Hollywood and Brentwood.
Correct. Yes.
At the SoulCycle, which I will link that in the show notes, and I will link David's Instagram so you can find your SoulCycle, book your bikes Monday at noon. And I'm telling you, if you are ever in LA, go take one of his classes because you will not regret it. You're going to leave having a spiritual awakening, a church awakening, therapy session, a good workout, and just a fucking great time.
All of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on. It's been a week.
Thank you for having me, Ben. It has been a week.
It has been a week. All right. And everyone else, I will see you next Tuesday. Thank you for listening to that episode of It's Been a Week, but don't touch that dial because it's not over yet. Get ready for the after show. Been there, done that with AJ. Well, we're going to get AJ's take on whatever the fuck I just said. And we're back.
Oh, Lord, aren't we back again?
We are.
Well, It has been a couple weeks.
It's been a lot.
It's been a lot. We'll get to that in a minute. First of all, David is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, I share so much similar philosophy to him.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, the whole idea of intention. It's so important. But when there's no action behind it, it's kind of like, what's the point?
Right.
And I really celebrate that a lot when I work with people in making a plan for something or putting action behind the intention. I mean, it's a literal part of my program because it's so important to be able to acknowledge what it is that you want or believe or feel or hope for. That's a very important thing. But then taking action on it is where results happen. And I just think he screams that. I mean, his class is amazing. You leave there feeling like you got inspired. You talked a lot about that. But you, regardless of just the effort of the workout and what that's doing to your body physically, there's such spiritual stuff going on in there with him, and it's great. He's amazing.
I actually think I'm pretty good at following through. Like I say I'm going to do something, and then I like give it a good effort.
Yeah,
That's when I stick with everything forever.
yeah.
But like, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm like, this is what I'm doing. Like I'm starting a podcast. Fucking did it. Like I don't just have all these magical ideas and don't follow through.
No, remember when we first moved here and Deb, we got like so much shit done right away, like with stuff outside and all this. We just took care of a bunch.
Yeah.
And Deb was like, leave it to the gays. They get shit done.
Well, what's the point of sitting around talking about it? Let's do it.
Yeah. But, that's hard for some people. Like some people get stuck in analysis paralysis and trying to decide what the right decision is. And like, I respect that. Like everyone has their own thing. But if you need that time and then don't do anything with it, that's an issue.
I mean, speaking of people, everyone's fucking driving me nuts.
I know. I was hearing you talk about that. Like, I mean, I think it's the Ozempic. Cassandra said to me, she goes, has Ben had mood swings? And I was like, hmm. That's a really interesting question. I was like, I'm not sure if it's more than normal mood swings, but I was like, actually, I think it might be. She was like, I wonder, like, because I told her you were back on the Ozempic.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I think that might actually be happening.
Well, it's
She's
hard.
like, it's because he's hungry. I was like, yeah.
Well, it's hard because first of all, I'm a Gemini, so I'm all
Mhm.
over the place. The testosterone I'm on and the Ozempic. So who
Yeah.
the fuck knows what is causing my body to go whing? But
Mm.
I'm injecting all sorts of shit. So
Well, kudos to the people that spend a lot of time with you that can manage it.
yeah, true. But I do think that this combination is working. The testosterone with the Ozempic with working out.
Yeah.
Because when I was with my trainer and I was eating so much food, I was
Yeah.
eating so much protein, so much food, and I was getting like bulky and like my face, I was getting like a wide face. Whereas now I feel like I'm like leaning out and I've got my like, a little bit of a jawline back and maybe
Yeah. I
my
mean,
face is thinned out. Do you agree?
well, I mean, listen, I feel a little pudgy right now, but I think, yes, I do agree. But I also think you were really building a lot of muscle. And like, from my understanding, I'm not a nutritionist or weightlifter or whatever, you have to build all that stuff up and then you cut
Right.
later. And so I think like, that's part of his approach, and it's like your hair. When you were growing your hair out, like it sucked when it was in that middle phase and then it got long and you loved it.
Yeah.
And then you would cut it and like, it's the same thing. So I think
The
whatever.
bulky piece though, it was so much work. It was so much food.
Yeah,
And then I was like getting big and I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
I
So
know.
I like this, like the Ozempic keeps my hunger down.
Mm.
The testosterone keeps me building muscle and then working out.
So basically, you're hangry because you haven't eaten and you're all riled up because you're taking testosterone. So this sounds like a real great combination.
No, I just think in general this week, everyone was just pissing me off. It was just like annoying bullshit.
Well, I mean, it's been a lot. Like, first of all, before we go there, I just want to get back to David real quick. When he was talking about the downtown experience,
Mm.
I love that. That's when I actually think like my love for him really blossomed because I had taken all kinds of different classes there with different people or whatever and had taken him some time. But I think he was right. Like, I think it was like there was still like this community and this like intimacy of humans interacting in that space outside during a time where we didn't feel that for other people. And it was, I don't know, I really like was able to connect with his pure love that he has.
Yeah, his classes were great. And it was weird being like on a rooftop with headphones and masks and all. Like, it was not the SoulCycle that I love. What I love is a dark room, and you're like, it's like a dance club in there, and this was totally different. But yeah, I think it was during the pandemic.
But I think that was like,
No, what he was saying is it's not the room. It's like it's the
yes,
community of
yeah,
people. Yeah.
yeah, because like think of like all the other friendships that we really got tighter on during that time, like Elaine. Like, yeah, we were friendly with her, but like during that time, I think we really like got closer to her, and remember when Billie Eilish showed up downtown that time?
Yeah, that was weird.
But we were all in masks. We were like, is it Billie Eilish? And it was Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
So anyways,
He like did it in sweats.
yeah, whatever, let her be. So I just I think David's wonderful, and I think his whole platform that he has and the way that he yeses the future for people is amazing. So I love him. I'm so glad that you had him on. And back to you being angry at everyone in the world. I mean, we were talking last week about just what a week it was and all the things, and I alluded to the fact that other stuff had happened, and people may already know, but for those that don't, we had to put down a horse, which was just horrendous. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so sad. Like, this horse needed to be put down, and I definitely acknowledged that and got to a place of, mm, I guess, just clarity around it, because if she were in the wild, you pointed this out to me, like she wouldn't have been able to get to food or to drink, and like that would have been her demise because she had a problem with her feet, one foot in particular, that wasn't really allowing her to walk anymore. And it's just wonderful that a few years ago, she probably would have been put down or something horrible would have had to have happened. And it's just, she had such a wonderful life with us. I'm so thankful for her, and like thankful for our vet, Sally, that came out to put her down. Thankful for that cowboy that you found who came out and like,
whole
and then he like made a grave on top of it. Like, just such a, wow, like such a good person.
It's hard with animals because like when it's time to put them down, like you do kind of feel like you're playing God.
Yeah, I told you, like, that was the part that was just gut wrenching for me because,
Like you're making the call. You're
yeah.
like, today's your last day.
But that's why I really think when you said to me, you pointed out, like, if she was in the wild, she would ultimately die from starvation and dehydration. And when you said that, it was so good. It was such a point of awareness for me because why would I want anyone to be like that? Why would you want anyone? And like, just
Because technically, I mean, we could have kept her alive for a long time.
yeah, because everything else about her was fine, and
Right.
we could have fed her, and we could have given her drinks. The poor thing would have been in pain, and we could have managed her pain too, but, like, it wouldn't have been quality of life, and it's just interesting, like, with this experience, and I had pointed something out to you on, this week I had seen online about a woman who recorded this video for her kids to post after she had passed, and she had chosen to go and whatever it's called. I think it's called
Like assisted
Nair or
suicide.
Nate or I don't, yeah, assisted suicide, something like that. MAID. It's called MAID, I believe. And just because of that experience I had with the horse, like I don't really even know her story, obviously, but it did open up my perspective and like to what she wanted to do in her life, like without judgment, because it sounds like why would she want to live a life that wasn't as fulfilling as all the life she had lived. And I really felt that with Becky. And so as hard as it was the right time. But wow, it's just like it takes so much out of you, like going through that experience. And then we're so lucky she's buried here, and you drive by it and it's weird. Like you even said to me, you're like, isn't it weird that her body's in the ground right there? And it's fucking weird.
Weird.
But I'm just thankful that, you know,
It's a circle of
yeah, and that we could like look at you singing. Look that we could give her those good years. Because think about it. When a year and a half ago, or whatever it was, and the vet was out here, not our friend at the horse vet, and they were like telling you, like, you should put this horse down. But something in my heart was saying, give her a chance, give her a chance. And then in December, she was running crazy, bucking, kicking, and like she had more life in her to live. But this time it was time, sadly. But yeah, so quite the week. We're off again,
Off again.
which I'm grateful for, but it's also like fucking somewhere. We've been somewhere so much lately, which is wonderful because then we come home and it is nice to be home. But
Well, I'm sure we'll have updates once we are home from the Hamptons and hopefully this fucking Beyonce concert.
no,
So,
this Beyonce thing is like,
I can't even talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Let's get through the concert. Bye, everyone. I'll see you next Tuesday.